Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very, very, very highly anticipated episode of Man Cave Mondays. I am Dan, and as you can see from, for those of you watching live during the discussion, the little banner that we have down here, we have Mandalorian Season 2 spoiler discussion all night long. And if that goes a little short, I don't know how that could be possible, but if that goes a little short, it might drag into what we will probably have for a continuing discussion, which is the future of Star Wars. Is it looking good? Is it looking bad? Is it in movies? Is it in streaming? All that good stuff. That conversation is on its way. But first, we're going to be talking Mandalorian Season 2. Last episode just came out this past Friday. And so if you have not seen it yet, this is your warning right now. Go watch that and then come back and watch our feisty debate about everything going on in the Star Wars universe. Because this is going to be quite the conversation. We have already been getting on each other's nerves in our own personal conversations back and forth online and elsewhere, just talking about all of this. And I'm fired up and ready to go. So let's bring in our panel. First off, Christian, how are you, sir?
Doing well. I got
a little bit of a different scenery for you.
Yeah, different scenery. I'm at my parents' house this week. Getting
Very
some stuff
cool.
set up for Christmas. So figured instead of trying to rush home, I would just take advantage of my dad's office, which has got some nerdy elements.
So very cool. I'm liking the decor.
And I got my drink handy for the feistiness. So
nice.
We're good to go.
Very cool. And then, of course, do I want to call him my Star Wars nemesis? I don't know. Mr. Boomstick himself, Joe, is here.
Ready.
You're ready. Well, okay. All right. I got mine here too. So let's do this. All right.
Boys, put your sabers away.
Yeah. Put the lightsabers away. Put them away. We also have Alberto here with us this week, as per usual. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well.
Oh my gosh, really? What? Andrew's here. Oh, and you're drinking a fancy drink with your pinky up in the air?
Cheers, Andrew.
Cheers. I'm rocking some water because I drank my last beer on Friday.
What is it, Andrew? What is that?
Dude, my brother-in-law recommended it for me. I don't know what it's called, but it's a Japanese whiskey, and you get it at Costco.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Apparently, it's amazing, and it is. It tastes awesome. So
nice.
If it's the one I'm thinking about, it's like $60-$70.
Yeah, it was on sale for $30. So it comes in a square bottle. Yeah.
Cool. I see you, Andrew, getting that bargain. I see you.
And then we've got, oh my gosh, we've got a special guest with us. What? Grogu himself is on our show this week.
Grogu.
Unbelievable. Grogu is here. All I'm hearing is baby noises, though. He's not. He has yet to officially say anything, right? We cleared that up. Did we clear that up?
We cleared that up.
We had a bit of a personal.
It would have been in the subtitles.
There was a rumor going around for
2 episodes.
Second to the last episode. Yeah, second to the last episode that he says like Sith Lord or something like that when he's choking the stormtroopers,
and went into the subtitles and it just says stormtrooper groaning. So
that's all it said.
He said that if it was Grogu saying his first words, they would have put that in the subtitles for hearing impaired.
Right.
So there's no way they snuck that.
Grogu, we're still waiting. We're still waiting
coming.
To hear those first words. I'm sure it's coming.
I'm gonna hit you later with my crispy prediction what that's gonna be later on this episode too.
You think you know what his first words are going to be?
Yep, I got it lined up.
Wow, that's very special.
All right.
Well, Grogu, it's nice to see you. Do you have anything else to say before you go?
I agree.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Thank you for joining us. That was Grogu, everybody. The Star Wars star himself. That was amazing.
That was our first exclusive guest.
Our first exclusive guest on the show, right?
Tonight
I
show
mean,
didn't get him. Jimmy Fallon ain't got Grogu on there. No, us.
And it's not the Baby Yoda show, but let's be honest.
Should be.
It's definitely the Baby Yoda show for sure. And finally, Bobby, you missed him, dude.
Oh,
Dude,
you just missed Grogu.
You just missed Grogu, dude.
I was putting to bed my own son. We're big.
What's really more important, bro? Next time, come on, you got to prioritize.
Your getaway, you need an international superstar for the very first time.
You can put your kid to bed every night. You can't meet Grogu every night.
I'm gonna be right back. Just a second.
Well, okay. Did anybody catch that at all?
No, I didn't hear.
I'm excited and a little scared.
It was a weird audio bug. I don't know.
That was kind of a weird. I don't know what he's doing right now. Bobby, how are you, sir?
I'm good. You're
good. Had a good week.
I ran 10 miles today, so I'm
on purpose or was something
on purpose? Something.
No, on purpose. On purpose.
Someone would have to be chasing me. I know that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you guys have noticed. I am an actual Iron Man. I have done the full.
You've done the whole thing.
I did the whole thing. So I'm just trying to stay in shape as much as I can until I can get back into the pool again. Someday I'll do another Iron Man.
The only Iron Man marathon I've ever done is watching more than one Iron Man movie in a row. That's it. And even then, I could barely get through that.
That takes a certain level of determination too. So
the second one is not great. Third
I'm not judging one over the other.
Last week, yeah.
Bobby, how old are you?
I am 40 and February 27th.
Oh, nice.
Is that rough on your knees? Running 10 miles? I can walk half a mile on my knees.
I have been running for almost 20 years now. It's a lot of strength training. Yeah. To it's a lot of mixture of you don't overdo it. You listen to your body when you're aching. You keep up, just like you.
That's why I don't run unless someone's chasing me. I listen to my body.
Yeah.
It's aching all the time. All the time.
I'm 28 and I can't run a mile at most. Like,
I used to be 300 pounds, and when I was a teenager, and I got a good job where I was just working my butt off, and I lost the weight. And
you literally worked it off.
What?
Literally.
Puberty's horrible. Puberty with a mixture of puberty and just working a job where I'm just walking back and forth, lifting things.
Worked it off, kept it off.
Worked it off. I kept it off. And then 2002, friends are like, "Hey, you want to run the Shamrock Shuffle?" Sure. And then a couple years later, someone's like, "Hey, you want to run the Rock and Roll Marathon?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then, met another friend. You want to do a triathlon?
Alec is watching already. He's chiming in saying The Undertaker wrestled for 30 years, so no excuses, gentlemen.
That's true. You know what?
No excuses.
That's true. Ric Flair
30 years of doing that.
5 years.
Bobby, have you ever heard Conquer the Gauntlet?
I have not conquered the gauntlet yet. I have not tried that. That's something you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we talking like
it was rough. Conquer the Gauntlet. It's a 5K.
Because when I'm hearing Gauntlet, for some reason I'm thinking like Infinity War Gauntlet.
No, he's
what are we? The nerd in me is like,
it's an intense obstacle course.
Oh.
And I did it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the mountains, and it was like 100 degrees, and it was straight up awful. If that would be my hell.
That does sound like it.
I'm good.
So we've got Christian and Andrew are rocking the Baby Yoda t-shirts.
Yep.
I've got what do you got on there, Bobby? Bobby just left like out of nowhere. I don't know. He was going to show us his t-shirt and then his camera disconnected or something. I don't know. I've got on a jersey to makes it look like I'm athletic, but really it's Star Wars. It's Darth Vader. And you always can tell whether or not someone's a legit Star Wars fan when they look at the T-shirt and they go, "Okay, so I know Darth Vader, but what's the number all about?" 77.
Episode 4 came out.
There we go. Episode 4. The year Star Wars graced the world, 1977. That's what 77 is all about. And Bobby, what is your shirt?
I got this for my first Father's Day a couple years back. It's Darth Vader, I am your father.
Nice. That's a good one. Cool. Alberto, you wearing any Star Wars? There we go. Kylo. Joe, you just wearing a Sith hoodie thing kind of dealio.
And then double whammy too. My sweatpants that I have on, the pockets of it are sewn with like Millennium Falcons, X-wing, TIE fighters on them. So I'm ready.
I may be wearing Wookiee slippers.
Nice.
Wookiee slippers
Right back.
now, for sure. So it's the man cave, right? My cave, my rules. So
Exactly.
all right. Do we want to dive into this conversation?
We do.
Officially, we
So
have
I think
we have all seen the season finale.
Yes.
Yes.
Before we dive into
I think we should talk. I think we should start kind of
huge
rough
reactions
overview of the season.
and where we think it's going, I think it'd be good to kind of get maybe like a pulse on what people thought
Season as a
originally
whole,
going into the
and-
series.
Yeah.
What were our thoughts based on season 1 going into season 2? Were we excited? Were we nervous? Were we?
We want to
What were
build
you
up
thinking?
suspense. We want to build up sense. We work a little bit through that. We keep them waiting for that season 2 finale.
Yeah, boy,
It's coming.
that conversation. But what did you guys overall? What were your thoughts going into season 1, or going out of season 1? I'll put it that way.
Out of it
season one.
before watching season 2.
Yeah, before starting season 2.
I thought it was a well-produced show. I felt
Joe
this tight.
Joe had to do a wardrobe change. Apparently, we got.
There we
He's
go.
putting on the Star Wars. There we go. The Darth Vader shirt. Nice.
I thought it was. Even though it was slow to start, I thought it was building. It was world building. It was following the spaghetti western genre, which is slow to begin
I
with.
love that. Yeah.
And I think if you kind of understood that, and Star Wars has always borrowed things from other genres, and if you understood that going in, it was an awesome time. And it was sprinkling in. It wasn't giving. It wasn't trying to. It was doing fan service, but it wasn't to the point of annoyance. It was. I thought it was. I thought it had a good balance of everything. Yeah, it had a good balance of everything, and it wanted me. I could not wait till season 2 to start, and yeah.
Going into season 2, gentlemen, what did the rest of you think?
I was cautiously optimistic. I thought season 1 was good, but I was like, okay, like this can only go so far. Obviously, we had the first big tease at the end of season 1 with the Darksaber and all that stuff, and it was like, okay, how much are they really going to go into all of that stuff? And there was all, even before season 2 started production, you had all the rumors about who might show up, what they might do, all this rumored stuff. And so I was cautiously optimistic. I was worried that they would, kind of like Bobby said, they had a nice balance in season 1 of fan service to their own stuff. So I was worried they were going to just go too far off the deep end. But they proved that they know exactly what they're doing. So
Yeah.
Joe?
I would say at the end of a moment at the end of season 1 that really stands out to me is when the stormtroopers punched Baby Yoda.
Yeah, that was one of the guys from SNL.
Was it really?
Recognized his
Yeah.
voice. One of the old cast members of SNL.
No, he has his own Apple TV show now. He plays Ted Lasso.
That's the right. Yeah. What is it? What is that guy's name?
I'm looking for right now. Ted
name?
Lasso.
I recognized the voice as soon as I heard it, though. I was like, "That's a guy. That's the Ted Lasso guy."
But I remember watching it and loving the show, and this moment happens, and just you're like, it's Baby Yoda, and you're like laughing your ass off at Baby Yoda getting punched in the face.
Jason Sudeikis.
yeah,
Jason Sudeikis. Thank
So,
you, Bobby. That's
if
really good.
he was in an interview because he did that like long time ago. He did it like a year before they actually put up, loaded it on the Disney Plus, and he forgot all about it. And then one day he's
getting hate mail because people are saying, "Why'd you put Baby Yoda?"
Well, and he's breaking the internet, and your dad's and his children are like, "Dad, you're trending." He's like, "Why? You punched Baby Yoda." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I did do that."
Oh yeah, I remember that time when I showed up for a couple hours and they gave me a check of several $1,000s, and
well, again,
I punched the biggest trend in.
He didn't know. He didn't know at that time.
He didn't know what he was punching.
Yeah,
there wasn't anything in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, yeah, he didn't know how. Well, again, the Mandalorian didn't hit when he was filming, so it wasn't a phenomenon. So
yeah.
Alberto, what did you think of season 1 and then going into season 2? What was your attitude?
I was excited all the way through. I think you guys can kind of tell just based off of our conversations, like in the Facebook group, whenever we message, I'm kind of just like, no, I liked it. No, I like this. Like, I don't have really too much fiery thoughts of like dislike or fiery thoughts of like love for either direction. So I think it was the most unique thing, and I think it was my favorite thing Star Wars related, because everything else Star Wars, like I talked about this in the last episode, that Guardians of the Galaxy is the reason that I got into Star Wars, but that means that I got into Star Wars when everything already happened. The prequel trilogies already came and went. The original trilogy came and went. All the PS2 games like Battlefront came and went, and I never got any sort of attachment. So being able to finally be able to grab onto something aside from the sequel trilogy, but be able to grab to something like The Mandalorian from episode 1 being as good as it was, and like,
from the jump, from the start, being there at the beginning. Yeah, I get that.
It's okay. Attachments lead to the dark side.
Yeah.
Just letting you know. So
learn to let go of everything you're afraid to lose.
It was definitely my favorite experience, because I remember going to work and in my little cubicle, like in the office at school, like the other cubicles would be talking about it, just being able to eavesdrop and hear like their perspective of like, oh, it's like, what did you think of this week's episode? And me and my coworker, me and her talking about this week's episode. And it was the first time I finally had to have those kind of conversations with Star Wars fans, and seeing all the new ones, because we're all new fans, but this was like a fun thing to finally be a part of it. And so Star Wars has been a very scary fandom to jump into, because it's
intimidating.
It is.
Star Wars
intimidating and contentious, and
we're worse than Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings fans.
Way worse than Lord of the Rings fans.
Star Wars fans
are the Rings fans.
Genre of fans in the world.
Star Wars fans getting together and discussing Star Wars is not unlike Parliament getting together over in the UK. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. Have you ever seen Parliament actually trying to debate stuff over the UK? It is maddening. You'd think they'd start throwing food at each other. It's ridiculous. Yelling, shouting, moaning, booing.
But to answer your question, I was definitely excited. I was excited, and I was just excited just to really be a huge part of it. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Andrew.
Yes. Are we talking like both episodes or just 2?
Both seasons. Mainly going into season 2. Were you excited after season 1 or no?
I was really excited, but here's my reality is my wife, Laurel, and I watched all of season 1, and she just really wasn't into it. It was too slow for her, which I've heard from a lot of people. A lot of people are like, oh, maybe I should give it another chance. A lot of people are talking about it. Yeah. But I've heard from so many people say like, oh, it's really slow, or it's just like fetch quest. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. Whatever,
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, season 2, it brings back all of those people that in season 1, you're just like, that's some random thing that happened kind of a thing. So I really liked season 2 a lot, because it kind of,
the world building.
It was, the whole thing is world building. And so it's like, you're literally talking about like the first, 5 chapters of Harry Potter when you talk about season 1, and you've got all of these books left that like when you bring it all together, it's just like, oh man, this is amazing. So I just feel like a lot of people who gave it a shot and didn't really like it need to go back and try again because there's so much more of the story with season 2. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I had a friend. I was fighting with them. They're refusing to watch The Mandalorian because they think Baby Yoda is just a cash grab, and I'm like, no,
he is. Yeah,
it is. It's legit, but
yeah.
but they were very smart. No one knew about Baby Yoda until he hit on Disney Plus, and then he was the talk of the town. And they did not have any merchandising last Christmas.
I don't think they were anticipating how much of a hit the exact character of Baby Yoda was actually going to be, or they would have had tons of stuff on the shelves for Christmas.
But they didn't.
In a heartbeat.
They didn't have anything.
Yeah,
Right.
because they knew they would have had to get it to stores before that episode was going to air, and they didn't want anything to leak.
They didn't want to spoil
So they kind of knew
it.
what they had on their hands, and good for Disney for making that kind of holding out.
Yeah.
And I think it also goes into the end of the season. We all had our predictions, and a lot of us had it, and I thought it was kept under wraps really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I think interesting. No, we can get into exactly what that was coming up here shortly. But they said, I was reading this article. It was filmed, like you said, over a year ago.
Oh,
Right.
They kept that finale surprise a secret from everybody for a year, which in today's movie, film, TV industry,
That's impossible. Yeah.
that's impossible.
The person involved said he was very surprised
Yeah.
that he kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, because he does not have a good
On
history
Twitter.
of keeping his mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
I have
all
a-
right. Do we want to officially dive into season 2 spoiler
Yeah.
discussion then?
And I have a question to kind of kickstart that.
Okay. So for everybody watching, come back after you've seen
Yeah, if
the
you
last
haven't
of
seen it,
season
pause us,
Pause,
go
stop.
watch it, come back. We'll be
come back
We'll be
back
here
and then
for the
join us
next 2
for a
hours.
follow-up conversation about the
listen to us
future
on
of Star Wars.
Spotify tomorrow. Watch the replay on Facebook if you haven't seen it. Come back.
Exactly.
You don't trust us when we tell you. You only get the opportunity to
Yes.
experience
Right.
it for the first time once. And
And-
Alberto can verify.
Where we can verify the experience of having it ruined for you by some
Oh.
total douchebag.
Yeah.
It is
No
a friend
name.
of ours that we
Not gonna
know. We're
throw
not
you
going to
out.
throw him under the bus officially with his name, but if he's listening, you know who you are. And
He's
one of my
known
rules
who
in
he
the man
is.
cave is don't be a douchebag, right? So, I don't know.
There's a general
I don't know.
consensus, like 48-hour rule usually on spoilers.
Kind of got to just, social media and all of that. There's a don't
know
ruin
what?
it for everyone.
You know what? Honestly, though, so many news outlets put that stuff up in an hour, 2 hours. Like
they wanna
it's
be
all
the- yeah.
over. Yeah, they want to be one of the first people to post it. It's all about trying to get that quick grab. But so my question for you guys, just kickstart us into full season 2.
Sorry,
spoilers.
Alec, for the thing
Yeah,
being
Alec.
for you, Alec.
Alex on watch it on Facebook right now. Apparently, someone ruined it for him too.
But he does
already.
say, he does
But
say
he hasn't
earlier
even
that
watched it.
Yeah, he
Alex-
does say earlier he hasn't watched a single episode of Mandalorian, so it's not
Yeah.
the same.
Well, but
impact.
it's still meant like if you're willing to invest in it eventually, and
Yeah,
one of the biggest
suck, yeah.
spoilers just gets ruined for you.
It's a big spoiler, even if you hadn't watched any of it.
right.
Yeah, it is. It
Anyways.
really is. Yeah.
Your question, Christian.
I would like to know before before episode 8, what you
Before
would
this
rate,
last season.
what you would rate the season as a whole, and then what you would rate it after the final episode.
Everybody answer?
Are
Yeah,
we
yes.
rating 1 to 5? 1
Yeah, 1 to 5.
10?
1 to 5. What
Oh,
you would
1 to
rate
5. See, I was
before-
thinking 1 to 10 to break it down a little
Oh,
more.
1 to 10. 1 to 10. What you would say before
1
that
being
final episode,
atrocious, 10 being the best thing
cinematic
ever.
masterpiece,
Okay.
and then what you would say that rating became.
Joe, you
after
can go
the final
first.
episode.
It went from an 8, a great show, to a solid 10 at the very end.
Okay.
Alberto, we'll go around, Alberto.
I might get some hate, but it was a 7 going into the last episode, and then last episode happened, and I say a solid 8. My curiosity immediately came back right there, especially the last few moments, despite it being ruined.
Yeah.
I think it's a hard thing for me to really rate though, because if I went in blind it probably would have been like a 9.5.
Yeah.
Like the season
Having
finale.
it spoiled for you, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It ruins the emotional impact of it.
Yeah.
It's like somebody who's never seen episode 6 finding out Vader is Luke's father.
What?
We said this is Mandalorian spoilers. What are you doing,
Yeah.
Chris?
Dude, I
Hey,
ruined
man.
that. I ruined
Really,
that
dude.
7-year-old.
Joe, I think Joe and I have kind of a bromance going on. Just to kind of everyone, if you're not in the loop,
What?
Joe and I, yeah.
That's true. We've been messaging.
All right. Andrew, what do you think?
Okay, before that, I need to tell a quick story of how
Yeah.
I ruined Star Wars for a 7-year-old.
Oh my god.
Oh,
You ruined Star Wars for a 7-year-old?
Wait,
She
I
might
have
have been
something-
That's all right.
I got something for you, Andy. You finish your story. I know what you're going with.
So that's okay.
I think I told you guys separately in this
You
story,
did.
but I don't think I've told it on the podcast.
What happened?
So I was at a library I have twin boys. They were probably like 2 years old. And this random little girl walks up to me and just goes, "Darth Vader's bad." And I'm like, well, yeah, he's bad. But then at the end, he becomes good and he saves his son. And she just goes, "I didn't want to hear that." And then runs away screaming.
Oh my god.
You're that guy. You're that guy.
You're that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, random douchey kid running up and just shouting Darth Vader's bad to some
Exactly. It's her
stranger.
fault. It wasn't-
You had it coming, kid.
I feel like
Come
I'm
on.
retelling the story. Weren't you wearing a Darth Vader t-shirt? Isn't that
No,
why?
no, I wasn't wearing anything Star Wars.
I feel like I remember you telling us the story before. I feel like
You
you
did
were
tell us
saying
the story on the podcast.
Was it on
No.
the podcast?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was the last
Oh,
Star Wars
sorry.
episode we
Everybody
did.
has already heard that
So,
story.
I don't
Um,
remember hearing it.
Andrew,
I
just
probably just wasn't listening.
Just
you
want to show everyone.
Go
So
figure.
my son has already the Star Wars. At least the first 6 episodes of Star Wars have already been ruined for him because we've been reading
Yeah.
Little Golden Books, Star Wars. I am a Sith. I am a Jedi. I am a princess. I am a pilot, and I am a droid. And
Nice.
in these, it
All
tells
right.
you that what happens to Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, my
Quite
God.
bluntly,
What?
right here.
Why would they do that?
See, they even
Why
have
would
a-
you do that?
Yeah,
Perfect.
see, they talk about how the Sith Lords and everything like that. And
Oh, look at cute Darth Vader.
You know.
Adorable,
so,
right?
if everyone, if you're not watching, I'm showing there's the Golden Books version of Return of Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi, the iconic scenes. So,
Nice.
That's funny.
That's
so it's being
Okay.
ruined already.
adorable and horrifying somehow, all at the same time.
Sorry for telling
Alrighty.
you twice.
No, you're good.
I would say I was probably so all of season 2 for the most part I've watched by myself, which isn't nearly as enjoyable in my opinion because like you don't have that person to like immediately respond to with things.
Yeah.
My wife was watching it with me when the whole Boba Fett thing happened, and I freaked out about that, and she was just like, "What's the big deal?" But
After the part after the credits,
no. I'm talking like when
earlier in the
When he
season.
just showed up.
yeah, which I mean everyone should know that by now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like 3 or 4 episodes in, something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's
So-
halfway through
Well,
the
the very first episode, you see,
Yeah, very first episode, he had
him
you had the
show
teaser
up
with him at
with
the end.
like just turning and staring at the screen. So
Right, right.
after
I'm
Mando got
talking
his
like-
armor.
Yeah.
When he
I'm talking
fully
like when
showed
he
up.
actually shows. Yeah,
Yeah. When he showed up and kicked everybody's ass.
dude, that
totally
was so
kicking
cool.
ass. Yeah.
Anyway, I'd say it was probably an 8, like Joe said, and then a 9.5 when the last episode happened.
Bobby?
Bobby,
I felt it was a 10 the entire way through.
and then they cranked it to 11.
And they crank it to 11. I'm just going to say, I have been listening to the score. And Ludwig, and I'm forgetting the name of the composer right now, but he's composed Tenet.
Okay.
So
That's
you
a
are
good-
going to
that's a
see, Yeah.
Great soundtrack.
So you're going to see him in a lot more places. So you have this amazing score with a mix of like rock opera going in. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Yeah. So, and it mixed a good Western. So you have that soundtrack piping in, and then you start mixing in from Rebels, and you bring Ahsoka Tano, and who at the start of the Clone Wars, at Star Wars, the Clone Wars movie, no one liked her. And at the end of everyone's fighting her to see, everyone's loving her in Rebels. At the end of Clone Wars, she had this amazing the last 3 episodes of the Clone Wars animated series. She had these really 3 good episodes, in my opinion. You brought her to life. You have, you do good by Boba Fett, because my gosh, Boba Fett.
I mean, how do you do a series called The Mandalorian and not bring in the most recognizable one in Mandalorian armor?
Do you guys know off the top of your head? Because I looked this up the other day. How much screen time Boba Fett has in the original trilogy?
Very, 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 very little.
Yeah,
4 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yep. I was going to say it's under 5 minutes. How much was it? 4 minutes?
4 minutes and 17 seconds, and he is arguably one of the most memorable and recognizable characters in Star Wars.
Do you know what his first appearance was?
Canonically, or
no. Just when he first showed up in media. What was his first appearance?
The holiday special, I thought, right?
You are correct, Dan.
Yeah.
He showed up in the original Star Wars holiday special as an animation, and they took the stick that he had, and Mando, that was his spear that they used in the show.
Yeah.
So sorry, but
not officially making it canon anymore, but a little wink and a nod for sure.
Yeah, and I think it was a really fun. I think they just did really well with the visuals, with the effects, with the score, and it just building. And Bill Burr, who is adamant being a very anti-Star Wars, making him a very good and interesting character.
A stand-up comedian had a better acting performance than most actors we've seen this year.
So
yeah.
Oh, he did a great job.
He did, and it's something like I want to see more of him, and I hope he shows up in Rangers of the Rangers of the New Republic.
That particular episode too. That particular episode, I loved how it built off of a couple themes that were both in the sequel trilogy as well as officially making it canon. This is kind of another crossover film nerdiness, but the movie Clerks. You guys ever seen the movie Clerks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're having this whole conversation about when the Death Star blows up and the second one blows up. Well, they wouldn't have had enough people in the Empire to be able to build such a massive device so quickly, right? So that means that it had to bring in outside contractors and other people who are just innocent citizens that are just taking a job to build this thing, right? And they come in and they blow the thing up again.
All these terrorists just come in and just blow up the Death Star.
Right. And then adding on top of that, we're not going to stay here, but I'm going to mention The Last Jedi when they're talking about, hey, it's both sides, right? And there's people making money off of Christian left. I mentioned The Last Jedi. No, but the whole idea of people are playing both sides. And there's tons of people stuck in the middle.
They're just trying to make money. They're just trying to make a living.
Making a ton of money, or they're getting their butt kicked, and they're not cheeking the side either way. They're just trying to earn a living. And the idea that these terrorists,
in Rogue One as well,
right? That episode there that dove into that concept of the rebels are actually viewed as terrorists, and they killed millions of innocent people.
That episode had one of my favorite lines when Cara Dune asks him which Death Star he was on.
Oh,
right.
And
which one? You went there.
Yeah, he's like, you're funny,
went there, didn't you?
You think you're funny,
right?
I think they do feminism heroics better than the Marvel trilogy, better than I was going to say The Boys, because it was you have a pro wrestler, you have a pro fighter, you have Cara Dune, what's her name? She was
MMA fighter. Gina Carano.
Not Gina Carano. Yeah, the Gina Carano. But I'm thinking who is Bo-Katan. She was in
Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and then you have Na Ning Wen, who is a trained martial artist as well as a longtime actor.
Original, and she was the voice of Pocahontas. Not
Mulan.
Pocahontas. Oh, no, Mulan.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was literally going to bring that up down the line, how that one scene in the final episode with the four of them just naturally forming together and beating the crap out of everybody was a million times better than the forced female team up in Avengers Endgame.
It was
because there was a reason for it.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it like that, Christian, but I totally get what you're saying.
Like literally, because it was just that's how the team up worked. It was just these were the most qualified people to do what they needed to do. They went and kicked ass.
They did it well. They worked well together.
And at no point did you feel like they were at a disadvantage or an advantage because they were female. They were just badasses who were going to kick ass.
Yeah. And then just the fact, like Cara Dune, like messing with her gun, like, and she's swearing on the Star Wars.
She's just like bashing it up.
She's like, all right, I finally got it. And then she's got the Gatling gun going against stormtroopers.
Yeah,
that was badass. And then Ahsoka Tano, who is a great Jedi in her own right. Badassery right there.
Yeah, that episode.
And then
really cool.
And then the fact that they're again more word building. It's kind of like she said, "Where's Thrawn?" And if you read the Timothy Zahn novels back in the 90s, Joe,
who's read that? Who's read the Thrawn trilogy?
Well, Thrawn originally was in the books, but they made him canon in the Rebels series.
The Rebels series. So there's a lot that they can do right there, and we're all like, okay, this is Thrawn's either going to be the big baddie of this season, or they're going to do a spin-off.
Yeah, well, it's a character that a lot of people were begging for and hoped to see in the sequel trilogy, but that didn't come to that never obviously never showed up.
Right. And
so the fact that
Joe's got a real snarky look on his face right now.
I know where Joe's going.
The original trilogy should have been about Thrawn.
Hold it, Joe.
Yeah.
You get way more than 3 movies.
Hold the rest
way more than 3 movies.
We'll finish up this part, and then we'll keep diving into it.
But just saying, I mean, overall, just because of all that, 10.
So 10 out of 10 to 11 is what you're saying?
10 to 11, or just a solid 10 the entire way through.
Okay.
It was exactly what I wanted to get into.
Cool. 9.
All the way through?
9. Yep.
Okay. I would say I'm about on par with Andrew, about probably an 8.5-ish before the final episode, and then 9 to 9.5, like approaching on 10 with the final episode. I would say the only thing that stops it from being a 10 for me, keep me probably at a 9.5, is the first Frog Lady episode. That was the one episode this season that really felt like filler to me. Everything else felt like there was at least one. Like that was and I understand. Like it was also the shortest episode of the season.
It was really short.
To me, that episode felt like unnecessary. They could have put that episode and the one right after it together and made it like a 50-minute episode, and we would have been fine.
But then we wouldn't have got to see Baby Yoda eating stuff and making all of the people on the internet angry about it.
But I'm saying we could have. It just didn't need to be its own episode. We could have merged that.
That was more entertaining. I totally with you, Christian. That was more entertaining than the last episode.
Yeah, they will.
Really,
Joe, we're not going there yet.
We already built the truths that we're not touching on the Last Jedi.
We're not going there. We're not going there today.
He got his one. Dan, you got one reference. Joe got one reference. We're good now.
The next episode, it's on like Donkey Kong, Joe. I'm telling you.
So I would say 9.5.
People getting all irate and ticked off because
it was hilarious.
Yoda's eating the future of an entire species or something.
Christian, there's 2 episodes with the Frog Lady. Are you referring to the one where they're like in that ice cave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was your least favorite one? I feel like that was like everyone's least favorite, but I
don't feel like it was my least favorite. I feel like it was the most unnecessary episode of the season. To me, it didn't do anything to further the season.
It didn't move the
ice spiders.
Dude, for real though, Andrew, I totally forgot about the ice spiders.
No, I stand corrected.
Gigantic one.
I stand corrected because it did introduce the X-Wing pilots. So I stand
Blue
corrected.
and Wolf. No,
That's true.
they were introduced last season.
But
Because they were
this season's arc. It introduced them.
it reintroduced them in this season's arc.
Yeah, so I stand corrected. So
Yeah.
I would say
Devil's advocate in this, but
Yeah.
that episode alone, when I first watched it, I was like eating dinner and I was just watching it and I was just thinking, oh my god, freaking love this episode. This felt like
I know.
This felt like Alien, The Thing. It was
like
Yes, it
was a
reminded
fun
me so
episode.
much of
Yeah.
the thing
I
stuck
was-
out
it
in the
was a
snow
fun
and these
episode,
creatures are
but in
getting
the
it.
larger scheme of the season, to me,
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't fit the overarching story they were telling.
No,
That's
Well,
my.
I love this.
as-
I hate spiders. Seeing those gigantic
Yeah.
spiders
Horrifying.
even more, and
And
like
they-
this big TV with the surround sound, hearing them crawl around the cave, like from left to right, panning. I was like, "This is
Yeah,
disgusting."
dude.
So
You know
they
what?
were-
You know what that
Watch it.
Sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
So I was going to say they're unused concepts from because they were supposed to be used in Empire.
Yeah.
So was that where you're going through, Christian?
No,
There we
I was
go.
going to
With,
say
with the spiders,
the one
Yeah,
thing
they,
that
they were supposed
episode
to be in Empire.
did show.
really?
It
Wow,
did show
man.
that when Yoda was on his own, he turned back into what young of this species are, which is just carnivorous, eating everything in sight, just hell
Oh.
monster.
There's no doubt Yoda's at the top of the food chain when he's on Dagobah. That's for sure.
Like,
Dude
think
can
about it this way.
Consume anything
how
he
many
looks at.
younglings do you think he ate over his time as a Jedi Master to stay alive? A ton, probably. We don't know. He ate whatever he wanted.
For sure.
Well, can I just say one more
also-
thing about the spider episode?
Yes.
As long as he's not like milking that weird thing in The Last Jedi. That's my Last Jedi reference.
Well, I mean, I thought it was fun because sometimes does every episode need to be world building? Sometimes you just got to be like,
Just fun.
we had to do a pit stop, but this thing messed up on our journey. It was a bump of the road, but now we can continue on. I think that's a great part of the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I will
personal
say
preference.
this though. I will say this. I do think season 2 changes this a bit, but I would agree with a lot of the concerns that people had, especially out of season 1, where it was like, okay, it's go here, kill this thing.
They fixed that. Here's the thing.
After you kill the
Yeah.
thing, they'll give you a thing where you're going to go somewhere else
Yeah.
and do this thing and kill a thing and to get another thing. Like,
That is a
Right.
complaint. That is
Second-
legit. That is legit.
The second
And-
everybody kind of hit that breaking point, though, they fixed it because they realized kind of how far they could push that. I think they knew they were like, okay, we can squeeze about this many episodes out of this kind of style, and then they were like, all right, cool, we're done with that.
I see. I still feel like they hit that quite a bit through season 2, though.
I think they did
but
too.
They did, but then like halfway through season 2, they realized, okay, we can't do this anymore, and they blew up his Toyota Corolla.
Well, no, they still when he was on the planet and he had his face thing. They still had to. They had to get on a planet. They had to do a thing to get to the next
We
thing.
got to sneak into the thing and we got to take the
But that
thing. We
didn't
got to
feel
download
almost
the
like a
thing. and we
favor.
gotta-
That didn't feel like he like somebody was hiring him to go do something to get it.
They
Like,
changed-
that-
No,
they-
but
like,
even Ahsoka's
Don't
like,
get me
okay,
don't get me wrong.
you're a Jedi. All right, but now you gotta go bring Yoda to a thing to get him to another Jedi.
Right. Like, I don't get me wrong. I loved it all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, I gave it a 9, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love it all the way through. It didn't bother me a ton, but I definitely understand the criticism that people have where episodically it's always go here, do this thing, you get the thing, you find out there's another thing in order to get to the it's like taking the biggest criticism people had of The Rise of Skywalker, one of the many, and just stretching it out over 8 episodes on a series, you know? Like, I get the criticism, I do, and that doesn't mean that I don't like the show
they do
or any
very
of the
well.
episodes on
I
their
think they
own,
did
'cause
it
they're all
well.
amazing.
They did it well. I think they
Yeah.
did
Yeah,
it well.
there's a
They
difference
hit it
That
between
well.
format
having-
definitely fits. I think it fits better in this type of medium as opposed to what they ended up doing with
Well,
The Rise
even
of
the
Skywalker
jour-
for a 2.5-hour movie. That's not the same.
I think even for the journey of this guy, I think it fit well within this context of the story. And I think come season 3, and we'll talk more about this more, I think that's going to change.
Yeah,
now everything that has happened, that whole fetch quest, it's going to change. Into
it's not going to be the Baby Yoda show anymore. So there's going to be something else that's moving them forward.
Yeah,
right.
And I will say, I do think there's a difference between fetch quests with characters we love going towards a purpose we care about, as opposed to one character we love with another character going to a casino for no reason. There's my Last Jedi reference.
Oh my God. There, you've all used it. Are you
All right,
proud of
I
yourself
haven't
now?
done it yet. I haven't used my Last Jedi.
I have to point out how I have chose to keep my mouth shut and not engage with any of these extremely trolly poking the bear efforts.
You started it, Dan. You started the Last Jedi.
I had no interest in doing anything like that at all.
We were going to leave Last Jedi alone, and you brought it up first.
Christian, dude, that's like someone like mentioned the color blue and then just talking about, I don't know, like a hurricane. And it's like, well, I mentioned blue, not a storm that killed people. It's different.
That's fair.
Right.
So, do we want to?
Anyways, moving on. The final episode.
Leading up to that final episode, or are we going to dive right in final episode?
I just wanted to.
Let's just drop the big news. Obviously, Luke Skywalker shows up at the end.
What?
Spoiler alert.
For real.
I would like to point out that weeks ago on this very show, I made that prediction.
They had Beskar balls to do that. This show had Beskar. I mean, and I took that reference from the podcast Rebel Force Radio. I think the writers had Beskar balls to put Luke Skywalker and do what he did, and everything like that.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. The moment the episode with Ahsoka Tano came up, as soon as I saw that episode, in the midst of the episode, I go, we're going to see Luke by the end of this thing. Because the kid's going to go to the training with Luke, and that's going to connect with everything that's going on with the trilogy sequel, and it's going to tie into and set up all of that stuff.
Hold it,
all that stuff that we want to see.
Raising my hand.
We'll talk about this later. Talk about later, Joe.
Yes.
Before we get too much further into Luke Skywalker, I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
Does Grogu get killed by Kylo Ren?
No.
You think he's gone before then?
I think Grogu is either moved on or gives up his own life or something to that effect.
He's a Mandalorian. He leaves the Jedi Order and says, "I'm becoming a Mando."
I mean, you don't think that they could potentially bring Grogu back in the?
They could do whatever they want.
Yeah, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. If
Joe's really having a hard time not talking about time travel and altering the future and making the whole trilogy.
I think that's a thing we can talk about.
Yeah,
that's
another episode. That's another conversation. Yeah. I think Joe
keeps grinning and smiling, and I'm like, I know exactly what he's thinking.
We have a Facebook user asking a question in the comments.
We got someone's saying we don't know what the name is because we haven't. If you want to click on the button to connect with,
I'll answer that.
I honestly think Baby Yoda is going to show up in the Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch are going to do something with him. I think that's not because the Bad Batch. It's a new animated show that's coming up on Disney Plus, based on a set of clones. Batch 99.
I think that's another thing for the.
That's another thing, but I think that's when Yoda's gonna show up.
For those of you watching on Facebook, if you go to streamyard.com/Facebook and
give it permission to let your name show up.
Also,
we should answer that question.
We should.
Joe was about to answer that.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
There's two other Jedi that could have showed up. One was Cal
Kestis
from Fallen Order, which is canon. We don't know what happened to him yet, but as far as we know, he's still alive.
Yeah.
The other one was Ezra. Once again, we don't know what happened to him.
Ezra Bridger from Rebels.
Yeah.
Who will most likely probably return in the Ahsoka series. But that's another topic.
That's another thing. But I think Sabine Wren, who's a Mandalorian, it's going to show up in the next timeline.
I think Cal Kestis was my best bet, honestly. I know for some reason, and I think it's just the Samuel L. Jackson fanboys. A lot of people thought it was going to be Mace Windu. I
know. I heard that a lot.
I don't understand that one personally. He would have been like, he'd be like 70, missing an arm, and thrown out of a 150-story window.
If he showed up, no one dies from falling in Star Wars.
Yeah.
If he showed up.
Yeah, Mace Windu's dead.
No, apparently he's not.
What?
According to both George Lucas and Samuel L. Jackson, he survived the fall.
Well, I guess Darth Maul didn't die from the super long fall.
Palpatine didn't die from the super long fall.
Well, okay, so Christian, let's be clear on exactly the context of what that confirmation is. It was a conversation between Samuel L. Jackson and George Lucas where Samuel L. Jackson just goes, hey, my guy didn't die, right? And George is like, do you think he survived? He's like, if anybody survived, my character has survived. And George is like, okay, sure, he survived. That was it. No stories to go with it. No explanation for it.
I threw the air quotes up. There's no way Mace Windu was coming back. It was not a chance in anything.
He wouldn't have the emotional connection. Luke Skywalker. I think everyone here. Can I ask everyone and Facebook users answer that? Who cried? Who had a physical?
Did anybody cry or have an emotional reaction?
I cried. I was crying on the floor.
You were crying, Joe. You were crying.
I didn't cry because of Luke Skywalker. I cried when Mando took his helmet off for Grogu.
Yeah,
that's when I cried.
That part was really cool. I love that.
I cried. That's what got me. Luke Skywalker was amazing. Again, I don't have the same. I'll probably cry when I see Hayden Christensen back in Obi-Wan. That's probably what'll hit me.
We'll see.
I'm looking forward to seeing Hayden Christensen, and we'll talk about this later, having some really good dialogue. Because I don't think he had good dialogue in the
good writer writing for him, not George Lucas.
And a good character director.
Character everywhere.
It's everywhere,
yeah. Agreed. Joe, you had a question though.
I think Bobby answered it. I want to know what people's emotional responses was when they realized it was Luke Skywalker. I realized it was Luke Skywalker as soon as I saw this X-wing.
The X-wing, like, oh, that's Luke Skywalker.
It's blue. No, it's Wolf.
But my wife was sat beside me, and she's like, "Who is that?" And what's so funny is my 10-year-old daughter was like, "That's Luke Skywalker," and she knew. And she's like, "Is it really?" And I was like, "It is," because it was spoiled for me on Reddit. And but still,
you knew it. How did you get it spoiled?
Some idiot put it in the comment section on something totally different than Star Wars.
That's for being on Reddit, bro.
Dude.
However, there's
protocol, y'all. 48 hours. Come on.
I still had an emotional reaction of seeing it. And I was like squeezing my wife's hand because this was the Luke Skywalker we deserve.
Are we talking?
No, we're not getting into that right now.
We're not getting into that.
No.
I think here's the thing. I think let's go into that. I think this is the Luke Skywalker everyone wanted to see in The Last Jedi.
This is Joe's wet dream, Luke Skywalker, for sure.
I think this is a lot of wet dream. I mean,
here's where, and this is not that. This isn't going to be about. Isn't going to be about like the future necessarily of Star Wars, but I do have something. I think, to your credit, Joe, you have these conversations with you has encouraged me to look a little bit more into the legacy stories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew quite a bit, but I hadn't read them a ton. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people aren't giving the perspective that is necessary for the sequel trilogy to be understood in context. The legacy stories were never about the end of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, or Princess Leia's life. One of the conditions that George Lucas put on any of the authors was you are not allowed to kill off Luke, Leia, or Han. You're not allowed to. If that happens,
Eventually,
it's not canon.
Eventually, they killed off Chewie.
Right. But that's my point. These movies, the trilogy that is about afterwards, the reason they did it so far afterwards was because they knew as a medium in film, people wanted to see Mark Hamill be Luke Skywalker again. They knew they wanted to see Princess Leia again. They wanted to see Han Solo again. And those three actors are those characters. In book, totally different story. There's no actor, there's no face associated with those characters. And they knew that they were older. And the only way you can cast them in these stories is to do it at the end of their life and allow the focus of that trilogy to be handing it off to the next generation. And that
was George
go
Lucas
back and fill in the gaps between the original story, the original trilogy, and all of that. And that's what we're finally getting. All of the stuff that the legacy stories were about, all of this amazing stuff about Luke building this awesome Jedi, school and these great adventures that are going on.
Point A,
all of that is
then
between.
We saw point Z, and now we're getting everything in between.
Now we're getting everything in between. The reason why Joe is really excited about seeing Luke at the end of this is because he's going, this is the Luke Skywalker we deserve. I would argue it's Luke Skywalker. Exactly. That's exactly right. It's the Luke Skywalker that followed exactly after The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then those stories.
Remind me, this is
sequel trilogy was not bad at all.
In the Legacy series, it picks up 5 years after.
The Mandalorian. It's
5
years.
It's 6 years after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if we're going to start criticizing the sequel trilogy movies like they're ruining Star Wars and they're blah, 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 and we're expecting them to be like all of the legacy books, that was never going to happen if Mark Hamill was still going to be Luke Skywalker.
That's never going to happen.
That was never you need to have talent without training is nothing.
But you can't tell those stories. You can't tell those stories. You can't tell those stories with all of these actors. You just can't do it.
Anyway. I can't speak for Joe.
Anyway, let's keep moving on about the Mandalorian because we're
I got on my soapbox. I'm sorry.
I
didn't mention The Last Jedi though, so hey, kudos. There we go. Okay.
No, but let's.
So, at what point did you, for those of us who it wasn't spoiled for, at what point did you realize it was Luke?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, that's a good question.
When did I know it was Luke?
Yes,
right there with Joe. I knew, as soon as I saw the X-wing, I was like, "Well, that's Luke Skywalker."
X-wing. I said no effing way. And then when I saw the black robe, I'm like, "Oh, they didn't." And then when I saw the green lightsaber, and I'm like,
and the glove. Hello.
For me, it was the second I saw that glove and the lightsaber go out, I was like,
"Sealed the deal."
Yeah.
Like I saw the X-wing, and I was like, "Okay, that's." Probably Luke's X-wing. And I was like, well, we've seen the other X-wing pilots. Maybe it's something to do with them. And I was running through my head, but then we saw like all the grainy security footage, and I was like, I paused for a second. I was like, okay, wait, maybe this is like a Sith or something. Maybe maybe they're trying to subvert our expectations. Yeah. But then the second I saw the glove and the green lightsaber, it was.
And then Yoda's ear, then Grogu's ears.
Yeah, he perked up and he looked towards the camera, and I was like.
Yeah. What I really loved about this episode is when the Mandalorian went against one of the Dark Troopers, and he got his butt handed to him.
Oh,
and all of a sudden, you see this Jedi shows up, and this is one of the second times that the Mandalorian is seeing a Jedi, and it moves the room like it was butter, a hot knife and butter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
this awesome. Episode gave us an appreciation for Jedi from an everyman's perspective we've never gotten before. Every other form of media in Star Wars that we've ever gotten has been about Jedi. We've seen Jedi on Jedi. We've seen Jedi on normal people. Jedi on clones. Jedi.
This is not the don't get dirty, Christian.
I was going to say Jedi on Jedi.
so seeing this and like just
what you do in your room after we leave this show is entirely your business.
So seeing Mando almost die to one of these troopers.
Right. Well, and can we just be honest? Okay, they're They're freaking Star Wars Terminators. That's what they were.
100%.
Yeah,
Like,
but
as soon as I saw them, they all come out. They're all doing the robotic.
Yeah.
They got the red eyes. The whole. I'm like,
there wasn't anything better than
Freaking
just
Terminator.
punch. They couldn't have come up with something better.
Rockin' Stockin' robots.
They were rock'em sock'em robots, 100%.
they were the Star Wars equivalent of a Terminator.
We've seen Mando take down a freaking
Bulletproof.
worm, all these things. And to see him struggle against one of these, and then Luke shows up, and 20, 30 of them just wipes them all out.
is technically 50.
It's like 50. It's 50.
50, yeah.
50.
Whatever it was.
So-
yeah.
So 49 of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and can we all be honest? As soon as they went out the airlock, I was like,
There's
they're
no
coming
way.
"Oh, they're coming back.
Easy. Yeah, they're 100%. They're. I was like, okay, they're
Clearly, they're
robots.
coming back."
Well,
And
I
it's
was
going to be
thinking
they were either going to come back or we'd see him like land on a planet later in the episode, and like he'd have to go find them. Like that, you know what I mean? I was thinking one of the two.
Yeah.
But
I
okay,
was-
so
I
have you
was-
guys? Sorry, Andrew. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was butting in. I was just hoping that I was like, that's a huge plot hole. And then they came back. And I was
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like okay, that was an easy way to
I
get
was
rid of
like,
all these things.
Who put
get rid of them for 10 minutes so we can do something else.
giant opening on the outside of like
The
your
airlock? Yeah, with
important-
the airlock with the date with the
your
robot.
most important army? Like who puts
Yeah.
an airlock? I was like, that's pretty dumb.
It's a crappy design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone needs to get fired. I have a
I
question.
mean,
Yeah,
but then
go
again, crappy design has been a staple in all
Star
of
Wars.
Star Wars architecture since
True.
'77. So
Well, since Rogue One, that was on purpose. So
Yeah.
they got a lot of
Stormtrooper's
people.
armor, right? Like, can we be honest? Is just for looks. Like,
Have you seen?
Yeah.
Have you seen the science behind what that does? What that's supposed to do technically?
No, tell us.
So what the Stormtrooper armor does is it is not designed to protect you from anything. What it does
Clear.
is it diverts the energy from a blaster shot so that it doesn't kill you. It just knocks you out. That's what it does. It is designed to divert the energy from a central point through your entire body and literally knocks you unconscious and almost kills you, but it saves your life. That's
So this
that
whole time we think these people are badass and killing stormtroopers.
no, they're just
and
not. They're all
they're
getting
just
knocked
knocking them
unconscious. Yeah.
Interesting.
Was that made official before or after Disney?
I was watch. It was made official by I forget what his name is, but it's a gentleman on TikTok who is with the main Star Wars like writing crew, and he like was.
Because that definitely sounds like a Disneyfying of
Can you say
the
that person?
Star Wars
Christian?
conflict.
What's
but-
up? Yeah, I'll look for it after the episode, and I'll text you. He does a ton of amazing breakdown videos on Star Wars stuff. It's fantastic.
I got a question on that real quick. There was a part I think in Force Awakens. One of them gets shot and it goes right through the person too. I think it was in one of the movies in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah,
Are there
I know what you're
certain-
talking about.
Are there certain shots then that
I would
could just-
imagine so. I would
go
imagine
right
there's
through the
probably
armor?
certain blasters that are probably designed
Oh.
like sniper
Certain
rifles.
blasters,
Yeah.
Well, because if you think about like the
certain
Mando
kinds of
sniper
energy
rifle,
shots or
yeah,
whatever.
like the Mando sniper rifle is those like heavy duty
Yeah.
like bolts. So I would imagine that there are
There's
probably
different calibers of
armor piercing
Yeah.
rounds, probably but for
And I mean, in the New Hope, the troopers were like, "Set it to stun," right? So
let's
it's like,
talk about Janito Espinito. Let's Giancarlo
Giancarlo
Espinito.
Esposito,
Yeah.
yeah.
So his performance on how much of a bad guy he was, and I called it in our private message boards that as soon as he got the
Yeah.
as soon as Mando got the spear, I'm like, he's going to fight Giancarlo for it, and there's going to be an issue with Bo-Katan.
are we all in 100% agreement that he threw that fight?
Yeah, I think
totally.
No,
I
I don't think.
think-
I don't think he threw the fight. I think
The second he knew they were coming, he was not going to let Bo-Katan have that dark saber.
Yeah.
I think he gave it one good shot to see if he could get Mando when he was like, okay, go ahead and take Grogu and I'll walk away. He was like, I'm going to try to see if I can ambush him, and if I can't, I'm letting him take him. I'm not going to be able to kill him.
No, dude.
But anyway,
he didn't even. No, here's the thing. Okay,
it was a good fight. I mean, it wasn't.
the only thing that makes sense, Christian, in the way that he went after the Mandalorian with the saber is that he was trying to instigate him into a fight so that he could give it up and thus cause the conflict.
Yeah,
because his dad referred to him, and he knew what his armor was made out of. He knew the bow was on his back, and what was the strike that he did? The very first thing, right into the one thing that he knows.
Yeah, I'm saying like I think
going to be blocked by the
Mando off guard. Like I think he was trying to see if he could catch Mando off guard, maybe like disarm or something like that. But he definitely wasn't going for a killing blow.
He definitely wasn't trying to actually take him out.
100%. He was 100% that entire time was planning on throwing that fight.
I do have a gripe about that scene. The Mandalorian, who's been like a top-notch guy, turned his back on an enemy
because all he could care about was Grogu.
Yeah,
it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I get it. As a father,
I get it.
I get that. Yeah,
I get it.
That entire episode, he's been showing that the last 2 episodes, he's been showing he's willing to do whatever it takes.
That's what the last episode was. That's what the second
kind of
last
teaser
episode
at the end.
was kind of about like you look. We all have breaking points. Whatever gets you to sleep at night.
Yeah, lines we're willing to cross.
Yeah, the lines you're willing to cross. So, but I like the fact. Yes, I mean whether it was a setup or not, how he's playing them on the bridge, how he knows. And there's a big thing and the big thing about the Darksaber now is Bo-Katan is not taking the Darksaber from Din Djarin. The Mando's name, because
Mandalorian, right?
Right. Yep. Now in Rebels, yes. So in Rebels, Sabine Wren found the saber from Darth Maul. She gave it to Bo-Katan, and there's a bunch of clan members, and they all rallied with Bo-Katan. And now in Bo-Katan does not have the Darksaber. We don't know how she lost it, but then we know Moff Gideon has it, whatever the story is, and now she's not willing to take it. I think it's a matter of fact that she was given, people are like, you're not a legit ruler. You didn't earn that. That was given to you. So now
if she wants to be the legit ruler of Mando and be that for all of the people she needs the support of in order to embrace that title, she has to get it the right way.
She has to earn it. She has to earn it. She hasn't just like give it.
And he knew that. He knew that, which is the whole reason why he decided to spark a conflict with him, so then he could lay it down and then thus give it to him.
Yeah, I think it's
another dumb question. Is she alive? Like at the end of that, I didn't fully understand. Okay, because I didn't see her stand up afterwards. I'm like, they wouldn't kill her like that.
That's probably what Mando season 3 is going to be about. That whole Mandalorian and Bo-Katan and all that. So.
Yeah, which I think that it's kind of like a like an Elder Wand Star Wars situation.
Yeah, maybe.
You have to win it through combat, and if you don't win it directly from the person who like previously won it, it doesn't work properly for you. And so maybe type of thing where like I think what happened is because she didn't win it originally, like you said, that led to the demise of everything because she was never the true ruler because she didn't win it through combat. And then some point, Moff Gideon either won it from her, stole it, whatever. Yeah. But because the Mandalorian beat him in combat and took it, by all Mandalorian rules, it's his.
It's his.
And I think
because she's already, like you said, accepted it freely once and it didn't work out, she's not going to do it again.
Right. And here's the interesting thing, Christian, to that. I think that feud between Moff Gideon and her is so intense that he was legitimately willing to die just so that she couldn't get it.
And here's my question:
you saw he was surprised when the Mandalorian was like not going to kill him.
Yeah,
he's like, "You're sparing my life, really?" Like he was fully prepared to die for the fact that then she wouldn't be able to get it.
And for you,
he was really.
She knew that she needed to beat him for it. So my question to you is, why would she just stay in the bridge when she knew he wasn't there?
That was the plan.
Expecting him to be there.
That was the plan.
But once they got there and knew he wasn't there, why didn't she go looking to see where he was?
Because in theory, the plan was Mando was supposed to come back with Baby Yoda and everyone meeting on the bridge. So as an army person, she's not like, I'm going to go rogue and I'm going to start. I'm like, no, if I'm supposed to be this calm, collected military leader, I got to stick with the plan. So that's, I don't think that's a story hole. I think it's just.
No, I didn't think it was a story hole. I was just curious. If you
she's a leader and she needs to stick with the plan.
You look like you have something to add here. What do you think?
I mean, the plan was for them to commandeer the light cruiser and
that's
where she was needed.
Yeah,
it's very true.
Yep.
Very
Alberta
true.
was going to
So,
say something.
I don't think there's
No.
and
Nope,
then
you've got
We've
the
got-
face when she says it's a Jedi, and then Luke's going through chopping through the droids, and his face changes from like confidence to fear because he's
big time.
IBSE, so he knows who that guy is. He's seen footage from the Death Star and whatever, so he knows what's going on. He's like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So he tries to kill himself because, all right, there's no way I'm getting out of it now.
Like,
So
I'm done with it. Yeah.
One last ditch effort to
Yeah.
try to take either Bo-Katan or Grogu out before he goes. Even in his moment where he thinks he's screwed,
Yeah.
he tries to do that first. That's
Right.
like that's the hatred. And Dan, this is going to make you very happy, and Joe might either piss you off or
That
might
doesn't
make you
happen
happy.
very often here on this show.
I truly believe that they are going to be using the Mandalorian and using Grogu as a way to explain and justify and backwards track either or both Snoke and Palpatine's return.
I think that
Yeah, I think so too.
Can I speak it?
Yeah.
Joe, you go, and then I'm gonna
So-
kind of piggyback on what you're gonna say, or
Because you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
With the Thrawn trilogy of who Thrawn is, he does not accept failure at all.
Yeah.
If you failed him, you're dead.
so do you think Moff Gideon? Do you think the Empire? Do you think all these rebel cells are acting on Thrawn's orders, or are they all in these little Empire cells trying to win favor, whatever's happening?
I think they're going personally with the season they're coming up. I think they're going to pull from the Thrawn trilogy, and Thrawn is the one pulling the strings, and Thrawn's the one that's going to unite the remnant of the Empire and take it to.
So then here's the question off of that then, and we're diving into the future speculation here a little bit, but
We can rein it
can
back a little bit, but yeah,
warm up some of the
but let's
conversation of that. But
you got
are you? So then here's where the what am I trying to say? The Rise of Skywalker's choice to the creative choice to go away from the First Order and lean more on the Emperor and this whole other fleet of other ships and other stuff, like all of that stuff. So that created a bit of an interesting dynamic that nobody saw coming, and needed explaining. So Joe, are you thinking, as someone who understands a little bit more the Thrawn influence in inspiration, are you thinking he is going to be setting up the ultimate Empire return that we see in Rise of Skywalker, or is he going to be the one that's setting up the First Order to try and take back the galaxy?
okay. Or
I'm gonna let Bobby. Bobby and I agree on this. I'm gonna let Bobby say.
I'm gonna try to say. Here's the thing. I think,
Or neither, maybe neither.
Oh, here's the thing. I think Disney is letting their feelers out. I think yes, they put everything in. It can go in either way. I think yes, it can go towards the Thrawn trilogy. I think with Ahsoka, the title card, it looks like the Veil of the Force, which has been a time travel device in Rebels. I think they're putting their cards on the table, so they have that option to disregard the sequels. They're also putting their cards on the table saying, no, we're world building towards the sequels. So I think it's going towards either direction, but I don't think they have a clear direction on which they want to go yet. But they can go both ways.
Go ahead, Joe, and then I'll jump in.
I'm going to take my bias and set it aside. There is a very real way they can world build into the sequels by using Thrawn, and because in the Legacy series, Thrawn was big on cloning Jedi,
Right?
And Force shooters,
and he could be building the First Order.
That's the whole reason why Baby Yoda Grogu is a big deal in the Mandalorian. Is they're needing blood that they can use for cloning Jedi.
Did you hear what kind of blood they needed?
High M count.
High M count.
Midichlorians.
Yep.
Midichlorian.
So it's a legit
tying back in, looping that back into full canon, if you will. And
Yep.
I
With the
think
prequel trilogy.
right, so, I think they are going to use the Mandalorian and all of these other series that they're expanding out as like what Dan has been preaching this entire time.
That's a good word for it.
Has always been a wait and see, and they will make the trilogy make sense. They're going to use these shows to explain their plot holes. They're going to use these shows to fill in these spots that didn't make sense and make it so that in 10 years, when somebody is consuming this entire media, it'll make complete sense.
That is option one.
They'll be able to go through the original trilogy, Clone Wars, Rebels, the prequel trilogy. They'll be able to go through all of those. Then they'll be able to go through Mandalorian, Ahsoka, all these other TV shows. And then when they get to the sequel trilogy, it'll make sense. You'll see Luke and who he was training people here. You'll see how they cloned Grogu to make either Snoke or Palpatine. So it'll make sense when one of them comes back. You'll see
and you'll see the moment in leading up to Ben Solo ultimately turning on everybody and why he chose to do that. Like that, the weight of that moment that led us to where we are in the sequels trilogy. Like that, to the credit of everybody who was real big on the legacy stories and you were expecting to see that in the sequel trilogy, I totally understand why you felt cheated. You felt cheated because they skipped so much in the storytelling option. They skipped a ton and went right to Luke Skywalker in his retirement years after he's having regrets of some of the decisions that he's made. Yeah. And the weight of that isn't there as much as it should for a lot of the audience that was going into that expecting to see something different. I get that. I totally get that, which is why I'm excited to see Luke Skywalker show up at the end of this show, because it makes me, as soon as I saw that X-Wing, I was like, that's Luke effing Skywalker, and they are finally going to be filling in the gap on exactly what led to everything that we saw in the sequel trilogy.
Okay, can I ask you to get off your the little boxes for a second?
The high horse. I don't need a horse even.
Just simmer down.
You sit down.
I think Joe and I both agree that is an option they could be going. Joe, do you agree with me on that?
I agree with that. Yep.
Okay, so yes, I think everything you and Christian and Dan just said, yes, that is option one. I think option two is that they are also laying the groundwork to completely ignore or redo the sequels. There is precedent. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying let's see what they do in Ahsoka.
I'm happy to see what they do.
Let's just see what happens. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm not saying you're right either. I'm saying they could, all of us fanboys that wanted a more coherent story, let them do some time travel and through the whatever. If they do time travel, or it's like, oh, we see some bad stuff, it doesn't happen anymore, and that was an alternate future, and now that's legacy, and now we're just going to focus on everything, 5 years, 6 years plus after Return of the Jedi. So
Christian's raising his hand here.
A possibility.
I just got my hand raised. I'm waiting for Bobby to finish.
I think Disney, yes, Disney will never flat out say we messed up, but right now, if you look at all of their upcoming projects, nothing is focusing on after the First Order. Everything is focusing in different points of Star Wars. The High Republic era, they got Andor, they got the prequel, they got stuff between Rebel, they got stuff between A New Hope, during the Empire. There's all sorts of different aspects they're taking. I just think they're setting it up. So, Christian, I'm going to get off my high horse.
All right.
Christian's over here like, Mr. Bobby, can I say something? Mr. Bobby?
Yeah, go.
3 reasons for you why there is a 0% chance they will ever do that.
0%.
0% chance.
They will never.
Bring it, Christian. Bring it. I am loving the fact that I'm in alliance with you on this.
Disney will never admit they were wrong with those trilogies.
I agree with you with that. They will never.
They will never admit they were wrong.
They will never do that on paper. They will never do that.
Traveling and whatever you said, future wiping or an alternate future or whatever, they would be admitting that they made a mistake, and they're never going to do that. 2, we will never get a completion to Luke, Leia, and Han's stories if they erase that trilogy. Because Harrison Ford will never return as Han Solo again. He barely wanted to return for the sequel trilogy. He'll never return again. Unfortunately, Carrie Fisher is dead. The only person we stand a chance of having return would be Mark Hamill. But it would feel cheap and unfulfilled if he was the only person that we got a conclusion to a story for if they erased that sequel trilogy. And so that leads me into my third reason why is we don't have a better option for a sequel trilogy in this current point in time. We don't. We've lost that chance. And so what happened, and they're going to use this opportunity to make that make sense and fill in good storytelling. And I truly believe that Disney they're never going to publicly admit it, but they realized their mistakes. And they are going to hand Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni the Star Wars reins, and they are going to say, here, fix our mistake. And they are going to let them lead this TV universe of Star Wars shows.
And there you go.
And lead that into making the trilogy make sense. Because if they erase that trilogy, it would have to be 10, 15 years from now. Because think about it this way, all of the kids, that's their Star Wars trilogy.
Right. Exactly.
And so now, if you got to,
they're not doing that anytime soon.
Like Joe,
sure.
You said your 10-year-old daughter.
Have you seen any toys?
She knows who Luke Skywalker is because she's watched the trilogy. She's watched all the shows. She knows what it is. But so, what does she think about the new trilogy? Does she like it?
No.
Okay, but so whatever. But so for most,
my daughter Lily,
didn't make sense to her.
For being 4 years old, she likes it.
Yeah,
as a 4-year-old.
So most kids, this is going to be their Star Wars. Because think about it this way: when I was growing up, and Alberto's not here right now, so he can't back me up. But when we were growing up, the prequel trilogy.
He finally came back. Here he is.
And I know Alberto said he didn't get into it as early as I did. Like I was watching them while they were actively coming out. But when we were growing up, the prequel trilogy was our Star Wars.
Right.
And there was the OG trilogy.
I hated the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, they were like,
hated it.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. They did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. But over time, they learned to accept it for what it was. You know,
I enjoy them substantially more now than I did when they came out.
I will be flawed movie. Clone Wars is garbage, but has its moments, and Revenge of the Sith is a fantastic movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, we talked about this in the last Star Wars episode. It's my number one Star Wars movie. And so you have this original trilogy that in 10, 15 years, I think we're going to be looking at exactly the same way that we look now at the prequel trilogy. On a much different light, looking back and saying, you know what? Was it the best?
Filling in the gaps, and now you get it a little bit more.
And people who didn't watch the original trilogy when it first came out and watched that later on after the fact, they see flaws in that trilogy that people who watched it when it first came out don't. It's all about biasm and what you grew up watching. Like you guys grew up watching that original trilogy, so you're gonna have a much more care and love for those characters than people like myself and Alberto who didn't.
The whole midichlorian thing bugged the shit out of me when it first was announced, like in the original episode 1 when it came out, and now. With the whole concept of cloning Jedi and why no one can clone a Jedi and why that's such a huge obsession and all of that stuff that's making the Mandalorian amazing, guess what I have to attribute that to? Midi-effing-chlorians.
Yeah.
I hated that plot point. Absolutely hated it, but I get it. I get it, and I accept it.
I will now step down off my high horse. Andrew, here you go. Here are the reins.
Andrew. Well, I just wanted to say a couple things. One, I still love the pod racing scene in episode 1.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. 2, can I bring it back to the Mandalorian?
Yes.
For a second.
Oh, is that what we're talking about?
We can bring it back to the Mandalorian.
Daniel,
we got carried away.
Daniel, if you could do me a favor and search Sebastian Stan, Luke Skywalker.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I was getting ready to bring this up, and then Bobby.
Because
I think
wanted-
that's
I
a
wanted to
good
bring up-
conversation.
I wanted to bring up how they used, clearly a CGI, whatever, Luke Skywalker.
de-aged like they did Carrie.
They tried using deep fake technology on an actor because if you watch through the credits, there is an actor named as Jedi Double.
Yeah.
So they didn't actually
Martial
deep
martial
fake it.
artist who was on
I
set.
was wondering if they deep faked it or if it was like just.
It was deep fake. They tried using deep fake technology.
De-age technology, same way they did with Carrie Fisher and with
Okay. All right.
what's his face?
But-
There it is. Those of you watching on the podcast, you'll see it. But for those of you not, and you're listening, you'll have to look it up yourself. But
there we go.
No.
There it is.
And who's known as
I mean, that's a dead freaking ringer right
This one
there.
with his hair.
Yeah.
It's like.
That's
It's
the Winter
like
Soldier,
why-
right?
Yes.
yes, that's the guy who plays the Winter Soldier on in
Why did they
Captain
not
America.
do that?
Here's the thing, and this is what I was going to bring up.
Contract, dude. I mean,
That's the only thing. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, why didn't Disney think of this?" Why? Maybe they did. Maybe he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't want to play two massively popular pop culture icons. Maybe he didn't want to be in two TV shows at the same time.
maybe he saw how people reacted to the Solo movie and was like, I'm not stepping into another
Yeah, that's
iconic
the thing.
Star
People
Wars
always assume that Disney's fault. Oh, they didn't want to cast him. They didn't think about
not
it.
doing it.
They just said no.
But also, I would say, who would ever say no to being in a Star Wars movie?
Somebody who's already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and already has a full-time TV show that's about to be debuting.
All right,
I think
all right.
I think
But anyway, it's
the
pretty
actor
on-
of Rose would probably say no again. I think most of the sequel trilogy cast would probably say no.
I think John Boyega did not do well by John Boyega. I think a lot of us
I don't
agree.
think so either,
Yeah, I think John Boyega's character, they could have. We
Dan,
all wish there's a
can you
lot
at
of
least agree? Can you at least agree, Dan, that the Last Jedi severely ruined his character? They hindered him and brought him down to a point where he had such potential after Force Awakens, and then in Last Jedi they made him such an afterthought.
They took all the growth from Force Awakens and brought him back to where he was at the beginning of Force Awakens in the Last Jedi. I think
I will table my answering that question until I watch The Last Jedi again for the 8th time with that thought in mind. Because I've never even really looked at it from that perspective. I know
Alberto was getting ready to say something, and Joe's got his hand up. So
I was going to say, should we roundtable what we thought about the de-aging of Luke Skywalker on a scale of 1 to 10?
We can in a second. Alberto, what were you saying?
Alberto and Joe both had something to say.
Yeah, I was going to ask a quick question. Does anybody know? I don't know if there's been any official reports, but does anybody know what the time span is between now season 2 finale until Force Awakens? Because I just I don't want to like guesstimate.
I don't think there's a.
I think it was 25 years from Empire to Force Awakens, or from Return of Jedi to Force Awakens.
I thought it was 35.
It's 35, I thought.
Because
and that's the thing, because like
Solo is 23 when he turns on Luke Skywalker. He's 23. Right. So was he Kylo Ren for 12 years? I don't think so. I don't think
we don't know the exact time of when he was born, though. Like that's what we're saying. If we're trying to factor in,
so it's 35. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna look we don't know exactly how long from when he betrayed and turned on everybody, and then the Force Awakens. We don't know exactly what that time frame was either.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say like just kind of like regardless. The reason I'm just asking is because 25 versus 35. That's a whole decade of extra story that could possibly be filled into there. And I'm kind of just curious whenever it comes to the future of Star Wars, like 30
years.
Oh, okay, 30 years. Okay.
30 years. Okay. I figured it was more than 25. Yeah.
Well, regardless, just to be the first one to answer Bobby's question. Oh no, wait, Joe had something. Never mind.
No. Let's answer Bobby's questions first.
Like, what did we think about the?
About the de-aging? Honestly, I thought it was super good. Maybe it's just because I think positive about everything Star Wars does, and I don't really care. I mean,
1 to 10. What's the scale? 1 to 10.
1 to 10. It's better than Irishman, and it's definitely better than Carrie Fisher's. So I would say at least like an 8.5, maybe a 9 if I can see it one more time, because I don't want just like my foggy memory to be the reason that I give it a 9. But
Did you see the actor who played him?
no,
Dan, the actual actor.
The actual actor? No, I hadn't seen that.
It looks very similar as well.
Does he?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you typically have to find somebody with similar facial features. That's why they used Carrie Fisher's daughter to stand in for her in Rogue One.
Did you
You
guys
typically-
see? I'm
She
gonna
also
bring
stood in
this up.
for the Last Jedi in the Rise of Skywalker.
Did
this
you
was
guys see any
also
of the?
infinitely.
Oh.
I was gonna say that this is definitely infinitely better than the de-aging that they did for the general in Rogue One.
I
Tarkin.
thought that was really good.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Really?
I think he was
You
the
got
best
okay.
de-aging.
Well, I guess
You should mention
I guess
that,
I just
Alberto.
struck a chord there.
I
just
actually,
struck a chord.
I've got they did a deep fake of that on YouTube that compares Rogue One original versus Rogue One deep fake, and this is what it looks like. You guys tell me whether you think it's an improvement or not. It's
Can you freeze it side by side?
I'm gonna try
comparison?
to. We'll see if it's. Eventually, we'll get there. There it is.
Pop it full screen.
Oh wow!
Original
that's
version.
pretty good.
I honestly
it's
think
not-
he almost looks more realistic in the deepfake.
That's what I'm saying. The
Yeah, like,
original
he almost
technology
looks out
has
of-
gotten to the point now where they took the actual actor's face, took all of the footage of him from the original Star Wars A New Hope, took that footage and created a deep fake to layer over what they did in Rogue One of his character. And look at that. It's like,
I was going to say, I think he's the best deepfake we've seen so far.
But once again, they got an actor that looks very similar to him as well.
Yeah, because
Yeah, he did.
You need,
They
you
did.
need that base actor to build off of.
yeah,
know.
you need
I still
something
say
that's
the
a
Luke
similar
one was the best
bone,
one so
facial
far.
structure, the whole deal. Yeah.
I feel like Luke looked like a video game character to me.
Man, I
Yeah.
am.
So, did you think it looked like the character? A lot of people are comparing it to his appearance in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, Dan, is there any way you can pull up a still from the Mandalorian?
I'm looking. Well,
Okay.
you guys keep talking. I'll
I
find it.
feel like it was good, but here's the thing. Typically, with most deep fakes like that, the less you have them talk, the better. Traditionally, with most of that, because it's usually
The voice
vocal aspect.
syncing and all of that is
That's usually when you get wonky with
That's when
it.
you
So
lose
for
them.
me, he looked good when he was standing there, but then once he started talking, he looked so CGI to me. I thought it was good, but again, I agree with Andrew. I wish they had just casted somebody for it, whether it was Sebastian Stan or somebody else. I wish they had just casted somebody for the role, unless this is a one-off. If this is a one-off and this is the only time we're ever going to see Luke Skywalker again, I'm fine with it.
Andrew,
But-
what do you think? Sorry,
Right.
I want to
All right.
make sure you get more into it.
I mean, I kind of already said it. I wish I was an actor. So this is going to sound ridiculous, my reasoning. But I just recently saw, I think Daniel knows where I'm going with this. I recently saw a deep fake that Daniel sent me from the
Reface app?
no, the South
Which
Park
is hilarious. That's a fun app. If any of
The
you
South
haven't
Park
played
guys?
with that yet.
Whoever
Oh,
South Park, they
Sassy Justice.
Sassy Justice.
Love
it's
Sassy
like-
Justice.
They deep fake Trump, and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
regardless of your political opinions, that's not where I'm getting at. But I'm just like watching it, and I'm just like,
How did they do that?
did they get it to literally look like Trump is reading a story about a reindeer and blah blah blah? Like I was just like,
Reading
watching-
a Christmas
Technology
Child
nowadays is crazy.
story, yeah.
right? So that's why I'm like, that's like, it's like I'm like, oh, that's not Luke Skywalker because of the Trump thing. I was like,
There. Okay, so here it
Yeah.
is. Here's what he looks like, and here's for comparison's sake. This is okay. So this is him. Final episode of The Mandalorian. For those of you listening on the podcast, you're going to have to go and check these yourself. This is Luke, officially Mark Hamill in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it doesn't seem the same.
No, you can see, like, you can
Go back.
The face looks so much smoother. It looks,
I mean, you can.
Nice.
I honestly feel like he looks older in the Return of the Jedi, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. But here's for comparison's sake, here's what Luke Skywalker looks like in EA's Battlefront 2.
No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's like halfway between this and this. Halfway between Battlefront and the real deal is.
So, do you still have that the Grand Moff Tarkin one up there still? Like, if you didn't have deep fake up on there and you just had both those up,
yeah,
in my opinion,
they look the same.
They look the same, and one of them doesn't look animated to me.
Yeah.
With Luke Skywalker, he visibly looks like CGI to me.
Right.
I agree with that.
Joe, what do you think? I mean, I didn't.
Well, the point I was going to change the direction a little bit. I sent Skywalkers and Hallways to the Man Cave Monday chat. Dan. Yeah. I wanted to show these two scenes side by side, and I want to get your guys' thought on them.
Before can I just say, did the deep fake or whatever, did it take your enjoyment away from seeing Luke Skywalker?
No, definitely not. It didn't take me out of the moment, per se.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that technology, it's there yet. I don't think it's perfection. This is a TV budget. They spend a lot of their...
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
To Man Cave Mondays. Group chat.
Oh, the public chat?
No.
I'm in the public chat. I'm in our chat.
Facebook.
So the technology is going to get better for deep
fake. In the messenger that we have.
So I think we're all agreeing, like, the deep fake technology is going to get better. This isn't perfect.
I don't want it to get better, though. That's the thing.
I mean,
as it gets better, it's going to lead to actors signing contracts.
They already are.
Movies. Yeah, but that's going to allow movie studios to continue to make movies with them after they're dead.
They already are signing stuff like that.
I know.
Mark Hamill already did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there already are signing that kind of stuff.
And I don't like that. That's another topic for a completely different episode.
That's another podcast on itself.
Yeah,
but
that's its own
I think we all still enjoyed it. We all thought it was a little off, but we still enjoyed it no matter. Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it, but I definitely had a moment where I was like, oh, that's clearly CGI.
I was trying to figure out, like, is that someone else? Is that Mark Hamill?
Here we go. Yep.
What are we looking at here?
I would like to talk about the scene. Hit play.
Okay, here we go.
Like father, like son.
Oh, this is Luke on the bottom, and then Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Totally. I totally had that vibe, for sure.
Yeah. There's a little bit of Anakin Skywalker's fighting droids in Luke Skywalker's
moment right there. Him crushing it. Oh, so good.
Definitely.
I think this was. I watched this scene several times over and over again, and I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. I mean, my reaction was, and I kid you not, I was alone in my basement, and I said, hell yeah, it's Luke bleeping Skywalker. Like, the moment I saw that X-Wing, and I could not have been more excited. So
it's funny, because right at the beginning of that scene, when he's coming out of the elevator and starts blasting, it's hilarious because you can visibly see what is some sort of like face scarf or face mask or something over that actor to try to stop his face from being visible. And it's funny to me because you can just as he's ducking his head, you can see some sort of like white like cloth covering or something over his face to stop it from being visible. And that's funny to me.
So I'm gonna probably get some people giving me a sour look through the internet. Both of these amazing moments that we are watching right now, you have Disney to thank for them.
Oh, I don't have a problem with Disney.
You don't.
I really don't.
Both of these things right here, were not out of George Lucas's head.
No,
they weren't.
And honestly,
and they're still effing amazing.
George Lucas was responsible for most of the problems I have with the prequel trilogy. So I'm not a George Lucas is,
and I'm not saying that necessarily that people are going to be scowly and hating. Like, I'm not talking about you guys necessarily.
Yeah,
I'm saying people watching. There are tons of people on the internet that just love to troll everything Disney related to Star Wars because they feel Disney just absolutely destroyed and ruined Star Wars.
They subscribe to the Book of Lucas,
right? And it's just not true. There are things you love about it. There are things you hate about it. There are things that are meh. But they clearly know how to give pretty amazing Star Wars stuff. And both of these scenes, hand in hand, right next to each other, are the result of that.
Solo. Joe, did you ever get around to watching Solo?
It was so good.
What did you think of it?
After giving it another try, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's actually a good movie, right?
So
yeah,
good.
It was
really underrated.
I would give it a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
there we go.
So I think with the last 15 minutes here, what we should do is to kickstart the future of Star Wars next episode. What are our personal predictions for season 3 of The Mandalorian?
Okay.
So this is okay. We didn't even necessarily touch on the other thing that I predicted accurately.
What was the thing that you predicted?
Boba Fett getting his own spinoff out of The Mandalorian.
We should talk about that. Yes, everybody
absolutely knew that was coming, and Christian and I went back and forth on this so much. Christian had albeit understandably and would have been fine with it, idea that he would sacrifice himself for the kid or whatever. Like,
I don't think Boba Fett.
That's what I thought too. I was with Christian on this one.
I was at the end of that post-credit scene was so good.
That was
phenomenal. I saw that and was like, hell yeah, 2 for 2.
And also, I would point out, because I was having my own debate about this, and I know we mentioned it in the group chat briefly. It is its own show. There was some speculation whether that was going to be season 3 of Mandalorian. But no, we're getting Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3 in December of next year.
Within 4 days of each other.
Yeah.
Crazy. December 21st, 2021, Book of Boba Fett. December 25th.
So here's
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Here's the thing that gets me a little nervous, not necessarily from I say nervous like it's a dumb thing, but I really hated. We've said this before. The whole like WB and watch this show and then watch this show and then watch this show and then watch this show. And like bouncing between all of them. And if they're both coming up 4 days apart from each other and they're releasing them the same way that they did The Mandalorian, where one episode every week, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, are we going to have to? Is it going to be the same thing, or can I binge watch just one season and miss? Am I going to miss something from the other one? Like, I hope they don't.
Here's what I think the difference between what they're doing with the Star Wars and Marvel shows and what they do, what happened with the CW is, the CW was expecting you to watch 22 episodes of 4 different shows every year.
Overkill.
This is going to be
way overkill.
8 episodes of a show. And I honestly think that at most, maybe we'll get 2 shows running simultaneously. I think otherwise they're going to scatter them throughout the year, so we'll always have something.
Just 2? I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
that doesn't feel like too much.
And the runtime is typically between 30 and 40 minutes.
It's usually between 32 and 48 minutes in that range.
Yeah,
and so for me, I would watch one show and just switch over and watch the other show back to back. It'd be like watching a whole show.
Yeah.
If they're related to each other directly or not, that's the question.
Well, Pedro Pascal did say that he was in talks with Disney to appear in most of the other spin-offs.
To appear.
They're all because they're all
they're all going to be taking place simultaneously. So he was in talks to kind of be this connecting piece.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, the stories that you were wanting from the sequel trilogy, we are getting them in spades, far above and beyond anything that we would ever get in just 3 movies. We're going to get so much more than that.
And you know what? I would rather have them in this format than in 3 movies. Honestly,
Same thing with me and the whole Snyder Cut thing. Like, I would have loved it if they just released 1 movie and let him just make his movie the way he wanted it to. But now we're getting a whole hell of a lot more, and I couldn't be more excited about it. So,
I think going off of Book of Boba, I think Mandalorian season 3 is going to focus. It's not going to be focusing on Baby Yoda. It's going to focusing on Mandalorian lore, taking over Mandalore. And I think, and then it's going to get away from the fetch quest, like, for lack of a better term. And I think there might be some of that, but I think there's going to be a little bit more of a Game of Thrones feel.
I think if anything, it would be more of a focused fetch quest. It would be more of a Bo-Katan saying, I need you to go get this for me. Instead of it's this person leads you to this person, leads you to this person, leads you to this person. It's more of a one person sending him on missions. If anything.
Bo-Katan is like the villain, or there's
I definitely see Bo-Katan being more of a villainy kind of antagonist in season 3. And I also think, and they've been hinting at this a lot throughout season 2, the internal struggle of him and exactly where he fits in this whole story of the Mandalore conflict.
There was all those rumors that Pedro Pascal was upset because he wanted to take his mask off more, and all that stuff.
And I feel like his character is going to be having to go through. It's going to have to go through this like internal struggle himself of exactly where does he fall. And now that he's got the saber, which means that technically he's the one that's like
he's the reluctant
to lead the whole charge, which means, what the hell do I do now? Right? Like, he's willing to take off his mask, so we can tell that you can see that he's already distancing himself a little bit from the hardcore beliefs that he had. But how far is he going to take that? And are people going to be pissed off about that? And it's going to be this war, or is he going to be the one that brings them all together? Right? So, yes, Joe.
From season 1 to season 2, we're seeing this guy who follow this strict code. In the very first episode of season 1, you see him start to bend the rules of this code to fit to be more moral.
High ground.
High ground.
From the second he met Baby Yoda,
correct.
Yeah,
everything changed.
And I think what we're seeing emerging is this character breaking out to become something totally different than what we've seen in first 2 seasons.
There's a lot of growth. I think that's what we all enjoy.
And I think something that gets overlooked, and I saw an article talking about it online, going back to the second to last, third to last episode, the one with Bill Burr again. And
second to last.
That's second to last?
That was the
second to last one.
Yeah, that was.
That whole scene in the lunchroom was so well acted.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Because the subtleties of Pedro Pascal fully turning his head, even without the helmet on. Every time he was looking at somebody, it was a full head turn. Because
I didn't catch that.
Because he's used to wearing the helmet. You can't look. You can't look with your eyes and have people know you're looking.
Doesn't know how to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all full head turns to acknowledge people and look at people, because people can't see his eyes normally. So go back and watch that scene and look. Just pay attention to his body language. It's so fantastic.
He's so out of his shell.
He's not even the one wearing the helmet most of the time on set. So it's not like you can even attribute it to the fact that he's just used to wearing it. More often than not, he's just a voice actor.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys catch Operation Cinder?
Yeah.
Which you get to play in Battlefront 2 and their storylines, Operation Cinder.
Yeah.
And I loved that, how they tie that in.
Yeah.
It's also big in the books too.
Nice little wink and nod.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So,
but I do think the internal struggle of his character embracing a new way of looking at the world and exactly determining what he believes and what motivates him individually is going to be a big part of season 3.
Well, especially now that what was motivating him was getting Grogu
was Baby Yoda. Right.
And now that he doesn't have that, what is going to keep him going?
Now what's moving him forward? What exactly is his purpose now that is done, right? And I do think that it's a good point that you're making, Christian, about his helmet. Like, if if you're married and you've had your ring on your entire life and suddenly you don't have your ring on for a second, like you feel like naked without it, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a million times more when you have this entire armor on and this helmet and everything, right? And then suddenly now you're and it's been almost a religious and political motivation of what has been keeping you stuck in this suit, and you're personally choosing to take it off.
And he goes to block the shot.
Bobby.
A little bit into the perspective into the future, what did you think about us seeing, and you, Christian, you hit upon it too, seeing things from the Empire perspective? Because who cheered when we're in that prison ship, Din Djarin and Mayfield are being saved by TIE fighters, and then all the troopers saluting them.
Yeah.
And then also at the same time, in the last episode, you have those two pilots talking with Cara Dune and seeing their perspective. Now, do you think that is going to be part of Mandalorian season 3?
I think we're going to see that more I think we're going to see that more in the Republic Commandos one.
I mean, I would imagine you'd have to see it in there for sure.
Here's my question.
Yeah, Joe, go ahead.
Sorry, Joe.
Did you see what Paul Schuler said on Facebook?
No, I'm looking at comments now, though.
There's a whole Boba Katan and the Darksaber storyline to deal with now.
Yeah,
which I think will focus.
That will definitely
be
going to be the
100%
for sure.
My prediction
totally
is
agree with you, Paul.
They're going to have conflict there, and then a bigger baddie's going to come out, and they're going to have to unify.
Yeah.
To overcome. That's my theory. That's my prediction for season 3.
You're thinking he's going to be stuck in the middle of this Mandalore conflict, whether it's physically or socially or politically or personally, emotionally, whatever. And then like Thrawn or whoever ends up rearing their ugly head, and then suddenly they got to find some sort of common ground to go against.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what you're thinking.
I agree.
Yeah. I could totally see that.
Do you guys remember the second in command, whatever you want to call her, to Moff Gideon? We saw her very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
The Imperial soldier.
The Asian chick, right? She's Asian.
She was Asian, it was hard to tell. She was definitely.
She was a young lieutenant, his second in command.
It is not very frequently that we ever get that many speaking lines from your average Imperial officer.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like for how much focus we got on her, we didn't see her die. She would not get shot in that final scene. So my personal prediction and theory for the next season is that she is some sort of spy, either for the rebels, for Bo-Katan maybe. Something along those lines.
Some sort of major,
and especially because the actress who plays her, what she's most known for is martial arts. She's a trained martial artist.
Didn't even get a chance to really put that.
Right. So there's
you're going with that.
She's got more up her sleeves. We didn't see her face that many times. Yeah, we saw her face way too many times for her to die off screen.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that, Christian. I totally agree.
Yeah, if Gideon moved from the bridge, Christian, I think you're onto something on there.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I think Alberto and Andrew didn't get a lot to talk about the future, so I want to.
I don't think they did either, but I don't. What are your thoughts?
We're the ones that probably know the least about the deep lore of Star Wars.
So with that said, to wrap all of this up, what are your thoughts after all of this back and forth that we've been doing?
I mean, there's no way that they're gonna not have Grogu. Wait, Moff Gideon planned to run into Mando.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we were mentioning earlier. It was just planned from the get-go.
I would say there's no way that we're not gonna see Grogu more. Baby Yoda's just gonna be a part of Mandalorian.
How many episodes?
He's gonna be the Nick Fury of the Star Wars universe.
Ooh. I don't know. I don't know how many episodes, but I mean, for sure, we're gonna see more of Luke. There's no way that they're gonna have that be just a one-time thing. In my opinion,
maybe they'll actually cast the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, in my opinion, I just feel like how they're gonna want to show the training that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion. And then I don't know, some sort of something going on with is it Bo-Katan or Bo-Katana?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan.
And Mando that are like, something that story needs to develop more.
Oh, 100%.
So something's going to happen with that. And then I part of me is like, yeah, we're going to see Bill Burr again, but then part of me is like, I think they've run him through as much.
I think he'll come back up in the New Republic.
Yeah,
Mando
that's
show.
what I'm my guessing. They made that for Cara Dune. They wanted that character. They didn't want her to be stolen by the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they're throwing her and Bill Burr,
with
Kevin-
the other pilot.
Yeah,
all right.
That's not confirmed. That's just our theories
Yeah.
right now because there's not a lot of information about.
Do you guys think we get a time jump potentially?
In the next episode?
Like
or next season?
So at some point in the next season, maybe a year, 2 years, something like that, some sort of time skip to save us some of that Grogu training time. Give him a reason to come back potentially earlier than you would normally expect.
I don't think we're going to see Grogu for a while. I don't think we're going to see Grogu in Mandalorian. That's my. I think.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going away, but I don't think he's not going to be as prominent of a place. There might be an aspect of his character having such an emotional tie to the Mandalorian, and that being a big part of a paradigm shift for him and this conflict mentally and emotionally that's coming. But I don't see him being a consistent, prominent part of season 3. But Alberto, what do you think, dude? I'll give you the last word here before we wrap up.
I'm in the same boat with Andrew. I said it last week. I said it this afternoon before we even jumped into the conversation. I am definitely a normie when it comes to Star Wars stuff. I am very easy to please when it comes to Star Wars. That being said, though, I don't even have any expectations really what direction I think everything is going to go into. I don't really even am too worried about what direction they're going to go into. That's why I kind of asked you guys, like, how many years is it going to be between now and Force Awakens? Because in my head, I'm like, that's how many years they have. That's how many decades they have to play with. They've
got 25 years to play with.
Yeah, they have so many years. They have so many years to play with. I think my favorite part of it all is that my biggest gripe, and I think Dan touched up on this earlier, but my biggest gripe, and I'm gonna ruffle feathers with this, but I've never liked the idea so much that Star Wars is always so much just Skywalker bloodline stuff. I know that's always the primary focus. I know that's what fans love, and a lot of like the original concept was and whatnot. But as someone who just wants to jump in, it's like I feel that like those characters have really told their stories. Unfortunately, we lost Fisher. I really just want to have those characters just have a rest already, and I wish the sequel trilogy did its job of handing it over to Finn, Rey, and Poe the way it was supposed to, because then I could have been more excited. But Mando is giving me again that excitement. Like, here's here is Pedro. He's going to be able to lead it into a new direction. Here's Boba Fett. He's going to be able to have some more fun for all these years. You got the Bad Batch. You got the Republic show. If anything, I'm the most excited now, and I'm glad I got into Star Wars now, because if I got into Star Wars 10, 15 years ago, where the only material that you had to watch was just Skywalker material, I would have never watched Star Wars. But
welcome to our world, Alberto. Welcome to Dan's, Joe's, and my world. For 40 years, my friend.
And that
was what we had.
We get a whole new thing of Star Wars movies. It's amazing. And now it's about the Skywalker.
And that's where the normies come in, Dan, because now we can finally jump in and I don't know. Like I said, the very first thing I said at the beginning of this podcast is that I love finally being able to be a part of it. All these new shows, all this extra stuff is supposed to finally just make me feel like I could finally be a part of this conversation with you guys who have been like veteran fans, new fans who are just going to be jumping into it. For some people, like my girlfriend's niece, she already knows about Baby Yoda. She already knows about Grogu. She's 4 years old, but she's going to grow up with like Mando as being like a central focus of the Star Wars universe, kind of how like you guys had, your set of characters. Christian and I had Darth Vader and Obi-Wan's like relationship being our thing. So I'm really excited about it.
We had
And
Jar Jar
Jar
Binks,
Jar.
man. Yeah.
Forget about Jar Jar.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, joke.
I will say this: my 4 kids, they enjoy the Mandalorian and the Clone Wars 10 times more than they enjoyed any of the movies.
Yeah, I can
And
see
so their Star Wars is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Disney's trying to do.
that.
Yeah. Yep, that's
So-
exactly right.
Yeah, so I'm
Cool.
I'm really excited to see. But I think the last comment that like someone just posted and you shared it, I'm wondering if and when they'll ever be showing some of the training for Grogu.
I think
And,
so.
I'm wondering if it's going to be reminiscence of the Yoda training from the original trilogy.
You think
at
Luke's
all.
going to jump on his back?
I hope so.
That's a great question.
I gotta see that.
I don't know how that would work, but
I want to
Pretty
see.
funny.
I want to see Grogu have shoulders like decked out. Like,
yeah, right.
I want to see a
I will
baby.
say
Grogu.
I do agree with you, Bobby. I think we will see Grogu pop back up in that Bad Batch TV show.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I
think
think the Bad Batch is probably the group of people who rescued him from Order 66.
I'm kind of hoping
Maybe.
that the Bad
That's
Batch
a good guess. That's a
didn't
good
work.
guess.
Like the cloning, whatever the
Yeah,
chip.
that's the entire purpose of their characters is that they weren't effective clones.
Yeah,
They were malfunctioning. They weren't working properly. They all had something missing or something wrong. They were defects.
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that whole Bad Batch and seeing the perspective of Order 66 happening, and then being like, "What do you?"
Is that going to be animated or is that going to be live
Animated.
action?
It's animated.
Animated.
It's
Animated,
animated.
right? Yeah.
It's animated.
Yeah.
So which I am looking, and they were first introduced in the official last season of the Clone Wars when Disney Plus released it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
The-
Alberto,
Yeah, I was
last
gonna say-
words.
yeah. Last word. I was just gonna say.
Last word again.
Again.
Bobby and Christian brought something up, and just the last thing, if anything, this second season, I definitely love season 1 more than 2, but season 2, if anything, has amped up my interest in wanting to actually go back, revisit the Clone Wars
There you go.
television show. It makes you want
Yeah.
to go back and play Battlefront 1 and 2 in the original Xbox again. It makes you want to
Yeah.
play Bounty Hunter above all on the PlayStation 2 again.
Oh, good call.
So this season, if anything, has gotten me to be like, okay, let me see what Dan and Bobby and Joe.
That's exactly what.
Let me
it's
see
trying
what they
to
got
do.
going on. Let me see.
And that right there is everything Disney wants.
Yeah.
That's what
people
Disney
in
wants
to
you
get
to
them
do right
even
now.
more sucked in. Like that's
I am
We
a
want
host,
you
yeah.
sucked in and keep you subscribing to Disney Plus. Oh, you like the Mandalorian? You can now watch Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars and in Rebels.
No matter what, though, I will say this now until my very last breath on Earth. I will never, ever be interested to go back and fall in love with the Ewok Adventures, and Ewok Adventure 2. There's
the
no way.
droid one, the whatever that one was with
Oh,
there was one with that was focusing on the droids, right? On C3PO, G2.
But they're doing something because there is something called a droid story.
Yeah, it's about a new
that's being
droid
released.
being
Yeah,
taught,
so
right?
what's up, Bobby?
I
Why
will
would
They
you
gotta
end
do
it-
the stuff
Why would you
for
end it on that note? to
Little
me?
kids. I
I
get
will
it.
say, did you guys hear? Last quick question for you. In that post-credit scene, we finally got the second appearance or verbal appearance of McClunky.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Officially.
We had Greedo's McClunky added in for some strange reason. Nobody ever knows what it means. And then we got the McClunky right before Boba Fett just murks that guy.
Which
Yep.
was badass, and I can't wait to see that series.
Yeah.
So,
So
But yeah,
do we
but
want
all in all,
Alberto have the last word again?
all in all, we all love Mandalorian, and I'm
Yeah.
excited. That's it. So
yep.
Um,
And we're
we
going to be
agree.
moving on to the next episode. I think we're going to
no
be talking
episode next week. We did agree, correct? We're going
Yeah,
to
we
be
agree.
skipping
We're going to skip
27th.
for the holiday season and
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
So,
so we
the
will
week
have
we
it
come back.
2021.
Yeah, the week we come back. Are we doing 2020 retrospective? Even though it's not really retrospective because it's like 4 days.
I think we were gonna focus
We're
on
going to do that or
Part
wrap up
two is-
Star
a
Wars?
part 2 of this, and then the 2020 retrospective after that. I would say.
Yeah.
Oh,
that works.
part 2 of this. Oh,
Yeah, we're
whoa,
going to talk about the
okay.
future of Star Wars. All the announced
Alberto's
shows,
already
everything
bored
those
with this
mean.
conversation.
I missed that whole thread. I think I clicked on the group message once, and there's like 87 messages Star Wars, and I was like,
Yeah,
That's pretty much what
I'll catch up
happened.
later. Okay.
Yeah.
me dropping all kinds
Yeah,
of
so-
feisty
So
rants.
no episode next week, friends. Enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your New Year's.
Have a great
We
holiday,
will
everybody.
see you all in 2021. Stay safe, stay
The
healthy.
start of amazing new Star Wars
Yeah.
future.
Man, we didn't talk about Christmas movies. Come on.
I know.
Star Wars Christmas.
Oh my. Okay. Good night.
On that note, goodbye,
Good night.
everybody.
All right, let's watch the holiday special Lego version.
Die Hard
on
is a
Disney
Christmas
Plus.
movie.